Hey, how's it going? This is podcast number, I think it's 4. Yeah, 4 podcasts. I hope you're enjoying them. I've got loads of good feedback that you like kind of listening to it on the way to work. And I enjoy doing them because it's like just so informal and it's just nice to have a chat with you directly and not have to worry about going and filming loads of stuff because it takes a lot of time. But sometimes I just want to talk, and that's why I like doing this. So thanks for coming back, and whether you like subscribe to it on one of the iTunes or Spotify things or just watch it. A lot of people watch it on YouTube. Thank you. Thanks for coming back. Hope you watched my new Kenevo review. Enjoyed making that one and riding that bike. So banging bike, really liked it. And hopefully I come across and like give the good stuff about the bikes and the negative stuff, because there's a lot of places that just say all the good stuff, and I don't think always have enough like shit stuff that they say about things, because I don't know, I don't remember reading any things about like things going wrong with motors in reviews. Maybe I'm wrong, I could be, but I try and just be as open and as honest as possible. I think that's important anyway. So huge thank you to my Patreons who, I've said it before, but literally fund all this stuff, like all of my equipment. 100% of that Patreon fund goes into buying new stuff, basically. And a shout out to all my recent Patreons in the last few weeks who are financially backing all this stuff and kind of coming along with me and helping me. Al Tigrob, I think. Hope I've pronounced that right. Jay, Edward, Cool CMDC, Rob Cameron, and Sam Wordley. Huge thank you guys, because it makes a massive, all those few quids add up, and just it blows me away that you guys financially back me. So massive thank you. And actually, this episode I've asked 5 bike manufacturers some questions that were submitted by my Patreons, actually. So what we'll do, we'll dive into those, and I sent them to the people that I know that work for these brands. So I sent them to, we've got responses from Specialized, Focus, YT, Mondraker, and Highbike. And these are from, like, Specialized is Marco, who works in the Specialized engineering team. Focus was Patrick and Martin from Focus, who I did a video with actually quite recently. They work in marketing over there. YT was a couple of the guys marketing and sent it to the engineering team. Mondraker, there's a couple of responses, one from Israel, who works in like the marketing team, and then they've sent it to the engineers as well. And from Highbike, it's from Piers in the Highbike design center, who him and his business partner work on like the graphics, decals design, and some of the industrial design for the bikes. So it's a real nice kind of cross section across the industry. A massive thank you for your time in responding, because I know you guys are like super busy. So first of all, let's take a look through. I printed it all out. It's much easier for me to read. So what have we got? So first question was around, like, I guess it's around how long should an e-bike last? So question 1 was my current mountain bike, or my old mountain bike, is 10 years old. It's working great. How long should riders expect an e-bike to last compared to a regular mountain bike? So how long should my e-bike last compared to a regular mountain bike? All right, so Highbike came back with a lot of new motor suppliers are coming into the market, but they're all offering more or less iterations of similar products. New motors tend to come in about 5-year cycles, And they do offer performance benefits such as more power and lighter weight and reduced pedaling resistance and improved software. But most of the changes year on year are incremental improvements to batteries and as such slightly more capacity or more marginally compact dimensions. There are still plenty of first generation high bikes being ridden around Munich, but if you want the latest and greatest, then this is as much to do with the components as anything else, such as axis wireless shifting or better forks and shocks. These are the same components on regular mountain bikes, so if you are happy with a 10-year-old mountain bike, then you should also be happy with a 10-year-old e-mountain bike. Personally, I like upgrading the components on my bike constantly and getting a whole new bike every 2 or 3 years, because there's nothing to get you out riding like new bike stoke. I agree. When you buy that new bike, it's you just want to ride all the time, don't you? But yeah, upgrading bits and pieces here and there can give you part of that new feel of riding a new bike as well. Mondraker have said, it's the same as a regular non-e-mountain bike. Why should it last less? It's a shame you cannot benefit from today's technology if your current bike is 10 years old. There are really big improvements on e-bikes every year or every couple of years now. And Mondrake also replied with the limiting factor will be the battery, as their lifetime can depend on the use and their working conditions. Regular mountain bike technology has seen just small improvements in the last years, while e-bike technology is just starting and its evolution is very fast from year to year. So in 10 years, would you think your old e-bike works great in comparison? Focus have said, in fact, there's no real difference in life expectancy between a regular bike and an e-bike. Of course, only if you take care of all service and relevant issues. Specialized have said, well, a regular mountain bike, which is 10 years old, certainly has had to go through a lot of suspension, brake and drivetrain service. To put this into perspective, a new engine is likely a very similar price to a new suspension fork. However, batteries and motors may or may not hold up for 10 years, same as a suspension fork, by the way. It really depends on how often you use and maintain them. Especially the battery durability. It's heavily depending on the amount of charge cycles. Related, please note that all of our electronic parts will be available in service and can be replaced, just like you'll have to replace cassette, brakes, and other things on a normal bike. So basically the same but more. You still have to take care and service all bike components. On top of that, you'll have to take care of electronics. And YT have said that bikes will last as long as they are looked after. A 10-year-old bike could be working great. However, the technology that is in new bikes is far superior. The same is true with other industries. Looking at battery life, it's true that capacity will decrease with time. So after around 500 cycles, one charging cycle corresponds to a full charge. The remaining capacity is around 70%. So I guess what I'm reading from that is that as long as you're taking care of your bike and you're servicing it, like you would have to a regular mountain bike, if you're happy with tech that's in your 10-year-old mountain bike, like the shifting and, there's been quite a lot of stuff that's changed over the years, you'll still be happy with a 10-year-old e-mountain bike in another 10 years if you don't want all the latest tech. However, 10 years is quite a long time. So as long as you're servicing it, everything should be good. All right, what else have we got? Oh, this is a juicy one, this next one. Motor issues. Can you ask the manufacturer's support team or designers to be 100% transparent and give us honest feedback on the breakdown of the current issues with e-bike motors? I believe there's more than one issue, but it's very hard to know what the actual causes are. And when a motor is replaced, you get zero feedback from the shop or the manufacturer. I've had 3 motors replaced. Yeah, it sucks, man, doesn't it? To get a bike and then be without it for some time because something's gone wrong, and it's just frustrating if you don't know what it is that's going wrong. And with the motors, they're sealed. It's not like you can take them apart and fix them yourself. You have to go back to a shop. So, Highbike have said you'll have to ask the motor suppliers. I hear rumours, but do not really know the facts. I just want to add that Piers from Highbike works in their design center with more of the graphics and the colors and the decals and some industrial design, so won't necessarily know the ins and outs about the motors. Mondraker have said, I'm sorry, but the motor manufacturers keep this confidential. We know that one critical point is the main axle bearing and seal that avoids water and dirt coming inside the motor. The motor manufacturers prefer to concentrate on offering a strong after-sales service. And they also said that no motor manufacturer will tell you they have or might have issues if that's the case. There have been issues on some motors, on some brands, but this is probably related of how fast the cycling industry is trying to put new things out there on the market and not enough testing on regular bikes as well as e-bikes. YT have said, we don't produce the motors. Should any problems occur, please feel free to contact our customer service, which will be happy to help you with any questions or issues, or contact the motor manufacturers directly. And from Focus, as we only work with suppliers of high standards and industry reputation, we have almost no issues with motor replacements. Shimano and Bosch systems are known for being the most reliable in the market. And Specialized have said that we were reported a few cases with early belt breaking in the new 2.1 engine. The 2.1's in the new Levos and the new Canevo. In-depth analysis of this issue has shown that there were occasional deviations in the pulley manufacturing process at an early stage of the production. This led to an incorrect alignment of the belt, which can lead to damage to the belt under continuous load. All drives reported to us with this damage pattern will be replaced immediately, and appropriate measures to optimize the production process have been initiated to remedy the cause of the damage. We sincerely apologize for any inconvenience we have caused. Yeah, it's this is a really interesting one, and I said on the podcast, the last one I did, what happens when your e-bike breaks, and we were talking about we were talking about like a car. If you've got a car and your power steering breaks, the brand, your expectation as a customer is the brand will take care of it. So if you drive, I don't know, an Audi and something breaks on it, they deal with it. And I think we're still in the place with the e-bike industry is it's almost like it's a motor problem and a motor manufacturer issue. So I really want to see it all kind of come together and the brands really take ownership of their product all in-house, and it's not a Bosch or Shimano or Bros or Fly on motor issue, and you need to go to that manufacturer to get it fixed. I think it should all be dealt with. That's my thoughts anyway. All right, next up, what's the future of the derailleur? Seems like this is still an old part with no progress. Focus. The future is hard to predict. In fact, the mechanism of how it technically works is already around for some time and has gotten some nice updates like more gears, way better shifting, even electronics. I believe there is a future of the rear derailleur, but how it looks is hard to predict. Mondraker, looks like we will be enjoying our old friends a bit more, although SRAM is looking to evolve them with their recent UDH system technology. What does that mean? I'm not quite sure. I should have had a look at what that means. Let me just see if I can Google that really quickly. SRAM UDH. Oh, okay. Universal Derailleur Hanger. Okay. That's neat, isn't it? It's just a universal hanger standard instead of having thousands of different derailleur standards. All right. Ebike. There were some motors with integrated gearboxes popping up at Eurobike. As old-fashioned as derailleurs seem, their simple construction, lightweight and efficient mechanics have yet to be bettered. Internal gearboxes, such as on motorcycles, are heavy and require a lot of maintenance and oil. Let's hope the future of the derailleur is more likely than the future of the hoverboard. Yeah, we did see some at Eurobike. They look good, but how much extra complexity, service, maintenance, risk for it going wrong might that add if we start adding that stuff on bikes? So from what I can read here, looks like rear derailleurs are they're going to be around for a lot longer. All right, what we got next? So we have, this is a really interesting one. This is about maintenance, and the question is, what kind of maintenance should each user do to their e-bike, and is it different to a regular mountain bike? Focus. The biggest difference is motor and battery updates if the major suppliers release new firmware. On Di2 and Axis products, you are already used to that, but I'd say this is the biggest difference. What we also see is that people tend to ride more. So general service intervals like chain and tyre checks might become more often than it was on a regular bike. Mondraker, same as regular mountain bike, except taking care of the battery as they are sensible to charging conditions. Motors have no maintenance, but their software can be updated. Nothing really tricky, just try and avoid using high pressure water directly on the motor. Other than that, there's nothing really different compared to a non-e-mountain bike. YT say the first thing to do is to remove your battery before you start to clean and lift the bike onto a stand. Do not wash the bike with a jet washer. Do not direct the jet at the motor or any of the smaller parts like the display. They are waterproof, however they're not designed for a jet washer, like you wouldn't jet wash a waterproof watch. Generally, an e-bike would have roughly 66% more torque versus a normal mountain bike. Therefore, your maintenance of the drivetrain is really important. Also, do not forget, it's really easy to forget that you're doing more distance and more descending on an e-mountain bike. Therefore, expect to service the bike more often. High bike, personally, I do as little as possible. Jet wash it, not recommended, but I've never had an issue. Keep it oiled up, make sure all the bolts are tight. Maintenance is very similar, but there are more parts, there are more bolts to check and cables to stop rattling. And Specialized have said, just like regular bikes, yes, you can use pressure washers if you really have to, but don't blow right onto the bearings, the engine, the electrical plugs, the wheel bearings, etc. At all times, if you wash your bikes, keep the batteries plugged in. They're best sealed being plugged. The washer should only wash the main frame and mind everything else. Lube the chain regularly. Be careful with degreaser, bike shampoo, and WD-40. Those things are evil. Just wash it with water and lube the chain at all times. Keep electric plugs dry and clean. If you mind and care, use a garden hose instead of a pressure washer. Interesting, isn't it? So depending on the manufacturer, like YT is saying, first thing is to remove your battery. Specialized say keep the battery in. You can use pressure washers, just don't be a dick with it, basically. It's standard stuff. And I think what I'm reading from this is like we ride more. We probably ride, well, I certainly do anyway, way more on a e-mountain bike than a regular mountain bike. So you're covering more distance, your suspension might be taking more of a beating. And generally, because we're riding more, we need to service it more. All right. Okay, this question is about, it's like an environmental question. With e-bikes on the rise, we are faced with more and more lithium batteries. Electronic goods are controlled by the Waste Electrical and Electronic Equipment Law. I see what they did there. And as such, that's why people like Apple offer trade-ins or recycling programs. What are e-bike manufacturers going to do about this? It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because these lithium packs are massive. Like, what happens when it's dead? Where does it go? Focus. I think the whole e-bike industry is still on a progressive learning curve, whereas consumer electronics have already had some years of development. I'm sure we might see programs more often in the future. Of course, we are already taking care responsibly of disposal of old e-bikes if needed. Mondraker. We're concerned about this topic and we follow the regulations in each country to allow batteries to be recycled. Batteries are just a small part on the bike, so it's impossible to find or offer a Apple-style trade-in that makes sense for the customer. Manufacturers do take special care of the problem. We don't know about specific plans from Bosch or Shimano, which are the two main brands we work closely with, but both are very aware of our environment and its sustainability concerns. Hi Bike, very good question. We often discuss this topic and other similar ones at HDCM. So far, it's clear nobody is doing enough. And Specialized say, by European law, all our batteries have the prepaid recycling fee, which means if our batteries are aged, you can recycle them for free at any recycling station. Our batteries are labelled with the WE label, the crossed out trash can. Yeah, it's you don't really think about that when you buy a bike, but you definitely need to. The environmental impact is going to. I think the what we do with these batteries as we start going through years and years of e-bikes is going to become more of a concern. What I would like to see is, it seems like they have to do by European law, adhere to this WE thing, which means they'll recycle a battery, or you can recycle it if you take it to a recycling plant. But wouldn't it be cool if, when you're going back to like the how long should your e-bike last versus a 10-year-old mountain bike, wouldn't it be cool if you could go and take your battery that's had its 500 charge cycles and is consumed, and go back and go to your dealer, trade it in and get some credit against a new one. So they give you, 200 quid off a new battery. And then they dispose of it responsibly. I think that would be quite cool. I think there's some work that the brands could do there to allow like a trade-in of a battery, or even get money off a new e-bike by trading in your old e-bike or your old e-bike battery. All right. This one is about bike theft. How can manufacturers help deter thieves? More and more e-bikes are getting stolen, and thieves know how expensive these e-bikes are. Yeah, like some of these bikes are worth more than cars and motorbikes, and you can just pick it up and walk away with it. They've got no real registration plate. They've got no real like vehicle identification numbers and logbooks and all that kind of stuff. So much easier to steal and flip than a car. Focus. There are some GPS tracking services for e-bikes indeed. It's just a matter of time before we see more systems on stock bikes. But I think we're not facing critical theft numbers on e-mountain bikes for now. Mondraker. Bosch is working on anti-theft software that locks the motor. We expect Shimano to follow this path. This is something that some motor manufacturers are working towards, and there will be solutions that come up on the market when the related technology is ready. That's interesting. So Bosch are working on it already, and they expect Shimano to do it as well. Cool. Hi-Bike have been offering top models as standard with eConnect for now, for 3 years. And they also offer it as an upgrade. With this, you'll receive an instant alert on your phone if your bike moves at all in your shed. And after this, you can track it and precisely pinpoint it to notify the police of its location. Cool, like that. Specialised, not sure if adding more electronics, data plans and subscription costs, as well as massive back-end complexity, are ultimately really preventing thieves. At this point, we still consider the good old-fashioned lock as the best solution to avoid theft. So interesting, you see a different approach from the different brands. Be interesting to see what would actually happen if you called the police and said, my bike's been stolen, I can see it's here. Will they actually do anything about it? I don't know. In the UK, it's probably one of the lower priorities. Don't know about different countries, but let me know if you've had a bike stolen and you've been able to track it with any new technology. It'd be interesting. I mean, if it works, it's got to be pretty good. I think for peace of mind, it's really good. I'm going to get one of the PAL Unity trackers to test. Maybe I can put a bike at the train station and see if it gets nicked. And no, I won't do that. That's a bit risky. All right. And finally, anything else you'd like to add to help e-mountain bike owners get the most out of their e-bike? Hi-Bike, all the bikes from all the top manufacturers are so good nowadays that unless you end up with a lemon, just enjoy your bike and don't worry too much if it's in some way a tiny bit better or worse than any other bike. Either way, you'll just have as much fun out on it. It's about why, how and where you ride more than what you ride. I like that. That's cool. YT, you will ride differently on an e-mountain bike. Your suspension setup will be different to a standard mountain bike. Make sure that you are setting the suspension up correctly. We are working on a detailed suspension guide to help our customers get the correct setting out the box for their setup. So often it's worth asking the manufacturer. Focus, just ride more often and enjoy the outdoors. If it's on an e-mountain bike, great. Mondraker, as long as you don't tune the motor and are gentle with the rest of users, we will all be enjoying the trails. Ride your e-bike as much as possible, which is the most enjoyable ride there is. We have to be grateful of the times we are living and how much enjoyment an e-bike can give us. And Specialized have said to lube the chain, respect the power of the engine while shifting, basically reduce pedal force long enough before shifting, dry clean electric plugs from dust and dirt, be very careful here with water. Our main harness plugs are designed to be waterproof when plugged in. Keep this in mind and do not wash bikes with unplugged connectors. There we go. That was a few questions. Interesting to see the different takes and how the different brands approach these things, from washing the bike to theft to new technology. And if you guys like that, I'll definitely do more. I'll probably post it on my Patreon page, so I'll be able to get a different set of questions. Maybe we can find some different manufacturers to send them to as well. It's cool. It's cool that they're interested in having a dialogue with us as well, because we are I guess the end users of the bikes as well. And when you're spending thousands and thousands of pounds on bikes, you want to know that you're looking after it correctly. If it's got a problem, it's going to be dealt with correctly, and they're actually hearing the problems that a lot of people are experiencing as well. But it's cool to get responses back. All right. I hope you like the podcast. If you've got any ideas for things that you want to see, and by the way, I'm definitely going to be getting people on, because it's lonely sat here talking to yourself for half an hour. It's a bit weird. But I'm definitely going to be getting someone on, other people on. So let me know any ideas that you guys have, and I'll see if I can make it happen. And until then, I will catch up with you all soon. Take care.